Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. I need you guys to smash that like button because after months of stressing, I've gained weight, as you guys can see here. Not all muscles, some mostly fat, but that was from stress of just trying to get this out to you guys before the summer started. And I'm wearing this tatted up shirt because I only have about 2 shirts left, guys. Okay, my son tore up the other shirts. There's no point in getting new shirts at this point. Okay, so if you don't know me, I'm Game from BusyWorksBeats.com. We trained over 1 million producers around the world. Some have gone to work with Drake, Kanye West, Post Malone, Ariana Grande, French Montana, Young Thug, Polo G, Trippie Redd, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, Glorilla. We have 3 confirmed Grammy winners and multi-platinum plaque winning producers. And finally, guys, I get to reveal to you guys One Click Mastering. This is my official first and SaaS company. So basically, I took our mastering algorithms and DSP and we put it into the cloud so that everybody can access this. I'm at a point in the business. I'm at a point in the business where we have to expand to a wider customer set. So for those who don't know me, I train music producers around the world, sound designers, people who are in the music industry, some people who are doing the independent thing. But now I want to serve people who are into podcasts, people who are doing music production, film. Okay, I want to grow a little bit bigger with our services. So basically, I created a SaaS company called OneClickMastering.com. And for those who keep track of BusyWorks Beats, we came out with what's called the BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering plugin. And we were on version 8. Okay, it was our last public release. So basically, over the last 4 to 3 months, I've just been obsessing about mastering, like obsessing about how to just take it to the next level, how to get the record to feel. How do you feel a record? Not just how do I slam it and make it super loud and crunchy and annoying, but how do I actually feel the record and get it to its fullest potential? So today I'm going to show you guys the website and I'm very excited. So just go to oneclickmastering.com. I'll leave a link below if I remember. I might even forget to link my own website. That'd be crazy, huh? All right, so basically, let me show you guys from scratch. So let me log out so that I can log in. All right, so when you first come to the site, you guys won't be logged in. All you have to do is go to the top right, and if you want to create a new account, just go to sign up. So here you can log in with Google or just by entering your email here. So we're just gonna log in via my email. Once you're inside the website, it will keep track of your history and all your past masters so that you guys can keep them all in one place. So basically what we want to do is either click this upload feature or just left click and drag a file directly into the actual area here. So let me find a track to master for today. So here we have a track that we made, on a different, back in 2025. All right, so what we need to do is just left click, drag the file directly onto this icon. Now you guys will see a blank upload on your first time around. I already had a track uploaded. Click where it says ready to master. And you guys, if you want to be like producers and music producers, you can go into the advanced tuning and fine tune it. But for everybody else, you don't need to go that deep into this. Okay, you can also set your loudness target. I recommend keeping it on the default. You don't need to overly make your songs loud. Okay, we're going to click where it says ready to master, and it will basically upload your file to our servers, and it takes a little bit of time to process because one of the upload speed, so depending on you guys' internet speed, the times can vary. And the processing time takes about a couple seconds to give you a preview. So here we have a 10-second preview. Here we have a before and after, so we can play the original. And I recommend you guys turn on loop mode so it keeps repeating the small 10-second audio. So here's our original. And here's the mastered. Running, and my bra keep on running, and my bra keep on running. All right, so basically you guys you can fine tune the preview. So if you want to adjust things, you just click this drop down. Click where it says preview live, and you can actually turn these sliders and adjust the preview. So again, it takes a little bit of time because the song has to go to our servers and then it gets processed to our, through our server system. So you guys can use this feature as well. So let's say I want to turn up the loudness, for example, or add punch. Let's just add a bunch of punch to it, and let's make the track a little wider and then add some turbo. So we can, once this is done, we can create the preview after we've adjusted these sliders. So then we'll get a message that says re-master to apply your changes. Okay. Running, right, so now it got super loud. Okay, so I wouldn't recommend you guys to slam the loudness because it just, some records just don't need to be overly loud. This track is very loud, as you guys can hear.
Running, 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 and my bra keep on running, 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 and my bra keep on running, running, running.
And again, we can go back to the original. All right, so what I'm gonna do is switch sides on the camera here. And what we're gonna do, you can either download the preview to give to a client or somebody who just wants to preview the quality for quality assurance. We're gonna go to where it says master full track. What this will do is, depending on you guys' account, it will remove the amount of minutes. Okay, so there's different plans with different minutes, but basically we're just gonna click where it says master right here. Okay, and now it's gonna take a little bit of time to actually process the entire track. So depending on the file size, and again, you guys' internet speed on the upload, this process just takes a little bit of time. Now we've averaged about 2 minutes, okay, for the actual process to go down. All right, and once the track is done, it will auto download to you guys' browser settings for your download folder. So, or you can just download it again, and I'll show you guys in the history tab where we can play the original against the mastered version so we can truly hear the difference. So again, we're gonna let this process a little bit. I made the site very simple. I didn't want to make the site super complicated. You can even log into the website on your phone, so you don't have to have a computer to actually do this. My main goal was to say, how do I remove the DAW from the process, remove the confusing installation process, remove all the friction from the customer who simply wants to make their track louder and more dynamic and radio ready. So that's why I made this entire website for you guys, for people who are just tired of turning knobs and trying to do all this stuff that music producers have to do. So basically we're going to go to download master. And again, you can still get hands-on with the fine tuning for those who are more music production ready. So now we're going to go to where it says history. I want to show you guys a different tab here where now we can go back to the original here and play this, and we can skip ahead.
All my cars keep on running, 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 and my bra keep on running, running.
All right, and then we can go to the mastered version.
Running, 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 on my dog keep on.
So this is the version where we turn like everything up basically. And we can even create another master by clicking this button here.
Running, 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 all my cars keep on running, 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 running.
So here's the original.
Running, and my bra keep on running, running.
Like night and day. Here's the master version.
Running, 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 on my dog keep on running, 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 from my log keep on.
All right, so what you can do is actually hit this heart to save some of your favorite masters so that you can quickly just scroll and see which ones you really liked and use that as a future reference. But let's say you want to change your master. We're going to click where it says master another version. It's going to take us to the front panel here. Now, I didn't explain everything about the settings because I made the site to where you guys don't have to dig into the settings. Okay, but if you want to, you can click here for more presets and go through the different styles of music that we've mixed and mastered over time. And you guys can share your presets with friends. So let's say you have a really dope preset you dialed in. You can just go to export preset. It will save an XML file and you can share with a friend. Your friend can go to where it says import preset, add the XML file. We'll make a separate video about that. And then basically load up the same settings that you had on your specific song. So let's say you're not understanding how to use this for whatever reason, or you want a very specific style. You can get a mixing engineer or your friend who's better at audio to create a preset for you. And then you simply import the preset here. All right, now we can also change what's called the target loudness. Now target loudness, again, I recommend to keep it on default. When you guys crank this up higher and higher, it can potentially introduce distortions that, you know, I just wouldn't normally push songs that loud all of the time. So just because we can do it doesn't mean you should. Okay, I just want to be honest with you guys, but you can push it if you want to. Okay. So here it says advanced fine tune. Here's where, again, we dial it in. So I'll explain these macros real quick. Clean is basically built for the harshness of a vocal. Think AI Music House, super harsh. Okay, you basically just crank this thing up. A sweet spot if your song is harsh, is about 50%. That is the sweet spot. But if it's really, really, really harsh, then you can turn it up above 50%. Excuse me, guys. The loud meter here is exactly what it says. How loud do we want this actual song? Now, again, this is where most people would just crank it all the way up. I would not recommend cranking this up all the way. It would just get unnecessarily loud, okay? I would recommend you guys stick around 60 to 70% as the sweet spot. Now, the mid focus, this is for, tracks that need that vocal to really pop up front. Again, this is preset, so you guys don't have to think about all this. But really, I would keep this around 50% for most tracks, unless you really need that vocal to pop out. Should you go above 50%? Now this track, it worked well in this track. So again, the mastering will figure it out for you guys. Now the punch, this is what I recommend you guys experiment with. So punch is the dynamic, the movement in your song. I'd recommend you guys crank this. If you feel like your beat needs that extra movement to it, crank up the punch knob. Don't be afraid to turn punch up. It's built to not be like crazy, basically. And the bass knob, most people don't need bass, especially for hip hop and trap. But this is for like stuff like AI music or pop music that just needs that extra bit of low end. Now bass doesn't just add bass, it reshapes the bass. So even on a trap beat, just because I'm turning up the bass doesn't mean that it's like going to be overly boomy. It's actually reshaping the bass. So again, don't be afraid to turn up bass, but you shouldn't need bass if your track is properly mixed and level. Now, nextly, we have what's called the turbo. Now, again, when you upload your track, the AI systems figure out a profile for your specific song. So you shouldn't have to turn any of these knobs unless you specifically want something extra. So here we have the turbo knob. Now, this is going to add the density and the fullness to your track. So I called it turbo because it was like when you are playing Need for Speed and you hit the NOS button and you just start zooming on the highway. That's kind of what turbo is all about. Not every song needs a ton of this. You just got to be careful turning this up, but don't be afraid to turn this up. So the knobs you guys can kind of try a lot is punch and turbo. Those are the most safe sliders, okay? And again, if you want to preview this, you can just hit where it says preview live and then move a slider. So I could do this. And let's say I want to add more clean and add more loudness. Now, this is probably going to sound crazy because it's like NBA sliders turned all the way up. Not every track needs 100% width. This is not just a width knob. This is way more than a width knob. So anyway, long story short, this usually stays around 50%, the wide knob. You can also adjust the brightness. So if your track is too like shiny, you can actually pull this back so it's less shiny. And then we have the output gain for people who just need that extra bit of loudness. Again, use this with caution because again, the system is built to be where it should sit. Everything that you guys add on top of that is an experiment, basically. All right, so I moved the knobs and it created a new preview track for us. See how it's just overly loud? Because the loud is turned all the way up. The gain is turned up 3 dB. We don't need the track to be this loud. It's unnecessarily loud in my opinion. But I gave you guys the option in the case that you do want to push something that's aggressive. But I'm just saying I normally would not push the record this far. Now it still sounds like it's held together because we modeled analog processes. Some of my favorite. I've listened to a ton of analog gear over the past year. You guys have seen me live stream using analog gear, and I just have my favorites. You know, that whether it's the SSL width or the brightness of the SSL, or the Neve Master Bus processor, how it has that unique width to it, or if it's the some kind of harmonic analog process. I took my favorite sound in my head and I applied it to this actual tool. So that's why it doesn't sound like it's falling apart, even though it's louder. Okay. Now again, that's really, really loud. So what I would do here is reset the style. And what this does is reset all the sliders so that we're not just forgetting the initial image, and then we can reapply this. But before we do that, let's actually turn down the gain back to 0 and then turn the brightness back to where it was, which is 5.2 in this case. Okay, so it grayed out to let you know that's the default position. And then we can reapply this. It will take a little bit of time because again, it has to go back to our server, get processed, and come back. So it takes a little bit of time for this, but it shouldn't take too long. So to me, that's probably more of a safe zone for this actual song. So again, here's the original. And we're gonna play from the history tab because we can jump around. All right, so once it's done, all you got to do is click master full track, or again, you guys can download the preview track if you want to send it to your, collaborators or your mixing engineers or whoever is your producer, and just show them, hey, I can get the song this loud. Do you like it? Is this the quality we're going for? Okay, because I understand everybody's ears are different. So if you trust somebody with their ear, you could just download the preview. You don't have to commit to a full master. So we're going to click where it says master file or master full track, and it's going to remove some of the minutes. So depending on our track, it calculates how many minutes it takes, and we have different minutes on the accounts, different account types, and I'll go through that in a second. So we're going to click master, and it will now go through the full process of the entire song. And again, depending on the length of the song, this could take, somewhere between 2 minutes is what we found on average. I'm not trying to give you guys hard numbers because it does depend on, again, the upload speed that you guys have, and just the nature of how much people come to the website. So I'll say about 2 minutes on average. I'm trying to knock this down lower and lower as we scale up. So that is my number one focus next. But as this processes, we basically have a free account. We have a small paid account. We have a medium account. We have a large account. And I'll show you guys that pricing in a second. All right, so the track just downloaded. It will auto download to your downloads folder or wherever you guys store your downloads. Okay, so let's go back to our history, because here we have the AB tool for all the different versions of the master. So here we have the original, and again, we could jump around. So here's the original. Now let's switch over to the first. Let's run this back and let's hear the second version that we have here. So this preset here, I'll explain the name on this in a second. So let's go to version 2.
Running on my cars, keep on running, and my bra keep on running, on my dog keep on.
So now I'm listening to the qualities of the master and asking which one do I like. So if we zoom in, they have different names, and this is for a reason. The Bright Master was one of the presets that I just give everyone by default, because this is the one that I think applies to almost every song. And I built it through months and months of just listening and listening and listening. So it's giving you the rough macro value. So here it says the bass macro or slider was at 24. The punch was set to 43. The loudness was set to 55. Now this LUFS is not the actual output LUFS. This is the preset that we had set in our target loudness. Okay, so that's what this means. And then we have AI Master. This is another preset, but we were tweaking different things. So for this one, we upped the punch all the way up to 100, and then we upped the loudness up to 74. Okay, so that's what we're listening to, is those specific changes. And I can hear the punch adds way more bounce in the track. So now we go through and say, okay, which one do we prefer? Okay, so personally, I like our first one.
Running on my cars, keep on running, and my bra keep on running.
Now the second one is louder. As you guys hear, that loudness knob did something, and the punch adds that movement back and forth. It really is about preference at this point, and that's why I wanted to give you guys control over your style of mastering without going too deep into every little knob. And those main macros pretty much do that for you guys. So that is our website, and I mentioned I'm going to show you guys the styles. So if you go back to the front panel, if we open the app and go to where it says pricing, we have different accounts for you guys. So we do have a free account. Now the main reason we added a free account is because our plugin version, for those who follow BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering, you guys know that I didn't offer free downloads on the plugin, mainly because I hate logins, and the only true way to give people a free experience with your plugin is to give them a license key. And you guys know I speak about this all the time for people who follow the channel. I hate logging into my plugins on through my DAW. I hate license keys. I hate verification processes and iLock and all that type of stuff. It just gets in the way of my experience and my excitement for my plugins. So basically I didn't add that to my plugin, and that was for a reason. So in doing that, I couldn't offer a free trial because the way I would have to monitor free trials using license keys. So long story short, we didn't have a free version. So now you guys can access a free account at oneclickmastering.com. It gives you 5 minutes, which is basically, if you're doing a song that's 2.5 minutes, we're talking 2 songs of mastering, and that's per month. And I mean, you guys got to ask yourself, how many songs do you put out? Okay, so you can make a free account here. Again, it gives you a total of 5 minutes. It calculates your file size. So if you have any excess silence or something on your track, try to remove that before you put it on the platform, because the platform will count the extra silence at the end as actual time. Okay, because it's looking at the file size, not the actual audio, in terms of how it bills. Okay. So long story short, we have a free account. You guys can sign up at oneclickmastering.com. All right, our next up account is when you want to get serious. Now, the reason, again, that we offered the free account is because I want people to hear what this actually does. We know, okay, I'm not going to make this video all positive. There's people talking trash against our company, saying that we're just, what do they say? Vibe coded plugin, all this type of stuff, trying to like knock us down a little bit. And what I did to answer their objections is I put it up against Ozone. I put it up against BandLab. I put it up against Waves. I put it up against Uni-L by Tone Projects. I put it up against IK Multimedia. AL1, shout out to AL1 by Natural Audio. I put it up against, man, we did so many tests. I'm starting to forget the companies. Isotope, if I didn't already say that. Ozone. So I put it up against the world's top. We did plugin versions, and we did online mastering services like Waves, like BandLab, like Aria Mastering, like eMastered, like Lander. We put our mastering tool up against the world's greatest. And I said, what do you guys feel? Is it objectively better? So you guys can watch those test videos on our YouTube. But long story short, after going up against these top companies, I said, I'm trying to be better than the top companies. And finally, I can deliver that quality to you guys without compromising all this other stuff that comes with plugins. For example, plugin interface issues, people not knowing how to install plugins, just DAWs not working in general. There's a lot of stuff that comes with making a plugin. But long story short, we now have a free version. This is my point. And you guys can, master your tracks or podcast. Now I'm going to introduce something new in a little bit, but I want to test it first before I just roll it out. But you guys can load up your podcasts. Again, we bill by the minute. Okay. You can upload your songs, which is where we started, because songs kind of have a lot of elements, whereas podcasts don't have drums and string ensembles and guitars. And films don't necessarily have that either. So we can do film audio, podcasts, songs, pretty much anything, YouTube audio. And again, my goal with my software, my platform, is to expand, because I know I can serve a lot of people, because I obsess about this stuff. Okay. And I've been working with these audio companies for years, and I can tell you they don't treat the content creators right. And I'm tired of it. So I made my own plugin. I made my own service, my own SaaS company, because now I want to beat the best. That's my obsession now, is how do I beat the best of the best of the best of the best and be even better than that? That is my new obsession. Okay. Just letting you guys know. All right, so after the free account, which is $0 a month, then we have the starter account. This gives you 60 minutes. This is basically 1 album a month. So if you guys release frequently, okay, and you want to just quickly master your album, easy. You just drag and drop the file straight into oneclickmastering.com, go song by song, and then just master your tracks just like that. And you can even import presets if you guys have a specific sound that you're going for. You can just kind of load up your preset that way, okay, or just use the site as is. All right, and then we have the Pro plan. Now this is $49 a month, but this is to be honest, this 300 minutes a month is a lot of music, okay? But you have to remember that not everybody's making music. So 300 minutes a month, you figure if you do a 2-hour podcast, that's 120 minutes right there. So these categories depend on what people are doing, okay? But I equate it in terms of albums. So 5 albums a month is a lot. So this tier would be for people who do work on behalf of other people. So if you're a mixing engineer, mastering engineer, and that it takes you 2 to 3 days to do a turnaround for a mastering job, but you're tired of, taking that much time on every single client. Some clients we got to be honest, some clients are, not as high as a priority as like the top Warner, Sony, Universal clients. There's corporations who can pay a lot more. There's people who can't pay that much, but that's fine, because we could serve them all. So this tier was created for the people who are music producers, who have studios. You want to incorporate this into your music studio. Instead of wasting 2 to 3 hours of time, you can now spend 2 minutes, drag and drop a song at the end of the studio session, and boom, now your clients have a mastered, ready song, ready to go. You don't have to waste your time, because that's the ultimate bottleneck, is time. Okay. So this is basically for people who are in the commercial part of the industry, music producers, engineers, professional podcast producers. That's what this tier is for. And again, to equate it, okay, that's 5 albums. So we're talking about, if an album is 60 minutes, let's convert this to clients, not just albums. Okay. So let's say 300 minutes, you figure every song is about 3 minutes on average. So that's 100 songs a month. So you can either handle 100 clients a month, okay, or 5 albums worth. Now, when it comes to podcasts, depending on you guys' podcast is average somewhere around, an hour to 2 hours. But let's just generalize and say an hour and a half, okay? Or let's just say 2 hours, okay? 2 hours is 120 minutes. So the 300-minute plan is basically going to take care of people who do 2 podcasts a month with a little extra on top of that. If you do social media clips and process it through here, then that will be your extra. Okay, so it just depends on people's workflow and what they're doing. Now, the scale is for people who truly just want to just be monsters, okay? 1,500 minutes a month is way more than enough for your top corporations. If you have teams and seats for people who have corporations and you have multiple people who want to use this service, again, this could be a full production studio, podcast studio, music studio. Again, you got to think podcast, film. You just drag and drop stuff in here. Now, 25 albums a month, the average songwriter is not going to write that much. So this isn't really built for the songwriters and artists. This is more for, we're talking, like I said, the studios, the people who have businesses around this stuff. 1,500 minutes a month. Let me calculate that in podcast time. So again, let's say a podcast is even 150 minutes. That's 10 podcasts a month. So now you can have your podcast network all polished up and ready to go. And you'll get that same quality. Okay, so as you go to the higher and higher tier, this is for different business styles. So again, we do offer a free account. Just go to oneclickmastering.com. Everybody's probably going to start off on starter because, again, you're getting your feet wet into the program. I understand that. And you're going to learn your nuances and everything, and maybe create a preset that you can export. Now, from there, depending on how much you guys produce, or if you're, a business person, then you're going to move into the pro tier. And that pro tier is for people who have a lot of output. And think in terms of how do you serve your client without wasting your time. Again, not everybody's time should be spent. Like, for example, there's certain companies, audio companies, that have great ideas, but they're not really that big yet. So yeah, I could make a video on it, but it might take up an hour of time just to learn the software. What if I had a junior content creator do that for me? Okay. Now I don't have to waste my 2 hours of time, but we still get the output. So the same thing here is sometimes we don't want to be hands-on all of the time because that's all we have is time. So this is a time saver for professionals. Okay. That's what the pro account is for. And scale is, again, for beasts. We're talking about podcast and production networks. Okay. So that's for people who have multiple companies. Okay. So I'm just trying to make it easy for you guys to understand the reality of how much stuff you're going to be putting into this. Now, again, this is not just built for songs. This is built for podcasts, YouTube. This is built for film stuff, film audio, I should say, specifically film audio. All right. So let's try to find something that's not a beat. All right. So here we have some hip hop vocals that we recorded. Let's drag these into the website. Again, you can do this on your phone as well, and you can upload files directly from your phone, whether it's in your downloads or your files area. Okay, you guys can actually grab those from there. So here we're at oneclickmastering.com. Again, I'll leave the link below. We're going to upload our vocals, and it tells you the file that's loaded up. I spelled vocals way wrong. Okay, then we're going to hit ready to master. All right, now this will give us a 10-second preview. This shouldn't take as long as mastering the entire track. Now for this one, it's a very short verse that I'm trying to make the vocals stand out. Okay, so I have the vocals separated so that we can process the vocals. So here's before.
Sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here? Sitting in
all right, now let's switch over to the mastered version.
Magic out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve.
Let's run the mastered version.
What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and African. The South took hip hop, the West. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the jacket.
Here's the original.
Don't get hyped, don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is sitting in the land, watch me weave through traffic. Magic out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and African. The South took hip hop, the West. What we doing right
All
here?
right, so that is the quality. You know, this thing works on songs. Like I said, it works on vocals. It works on film stuff. It works on podcasts. What I'll do is I'll actually record something from this microphone and run it through this process. Now, going back to the hip hop vocals, it tells me that the clip is 1 minute long. We're just going to click master, and it will master the full verse in this case. Okay, so again, depending on the song length and different factors, that will determine how fast the master gets spit back in. Again, automatically it will download to your downloads folder. So once this is done, we're going to upload the podcast test audio that I just recorded on this microphone and see how it stacks up. All right, so here we have the original vocals, hip hop
Sitting in the
vocals.
land, watch me weave through traffic. Dodger fitted on with my V-suit jacket. Don't get hyped. Don't believe the madness. What we doing right here is magic. Out the hood, fresh from a lot of the trafficking. Serve white, brown, Asian, and African. The South took hip hop, the West took it back again. In a low.
Now again, that vocal is going to just sit on top. So you guys can change the settings if you guys want. You don't need it to scream louder than that. But the main thing is we're getting the full expression out of the vocal. We can always turn the actual volume down. Depends on what you guys' use case is. Now let's pull up the test podcast audio that I recorded. So here we have the podcast. Let's just drag this in here. Now I only did like a 20-second clip, so let's do ready to master. So right now, again, depending on you guys' upload speed in your network, that will determine how long it takes to get your track ready for processing. So once that's done, it will go to our server for processing. So it's doing that right now. And then it should spit back a preview pretty shortly after. All right, the preview is ready to go. So that only took a couple seconds. Let's hit play. Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today we're testing OneClickMastering.com. We're going to master. All right, now that's the after. Now here's before. Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today now let's go to the mastered version. We're testing OneClickMastering. Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. So some things I want to change about this. Now again, unless you record in a really pristine environment, this mastering process will pull out all the details. So if you record in a junky guitar or a garage, or just in an open area that has no acoustic treatment, all that will be pulled to the front. So best practices is get a good recording. That's always the best rule in mixing. What I'm going to do though is show you guys the clean knob. So if we turn the clean knob all the way up, this will rid some of that sibilance, the harshness. It doesn't get rid of background noise and do all the mixing stuff. It simply just addresses the harshness of the audio, because when it gets louder, that harshness is going to sound even more harsh. So let's reapply with all the way up the clean knob and see what the preview sounds like from that adjustment. Now, we're not going to need width on a mono track. I'm trying not to overly explain, but basically if you record on a podcast, there is no width unless you have something panned to the left and something panned to the right. So you won't have to mess with the wide knob in this case. Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today we're testing. So if you guys here got rid of that harshness on that beats, okay. So what I'll do, I guess, to demonstrate this is let's master the full track with the clean turned all the way up, and then we'll remaster it with the clean turned all the way down. I think that'll be a good measurement on the difference between the two. Also, just want to mention any changes that we make are made to the original. It's not made to the mastered track. So we can always tweak these knobs without messing up the other mastered version. All right, now let's run one with the clean turned all the way down, and let's reapply. And then what we're going to do is click where it says master full track once the preview has completed. And then we're going to do that. So right now it's processing. So I want you guys to listen to the S and beats. When the clean is turned all the way down, that S gets really harsh. Okay, just from the nature of an S. So let's hear this. Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today we're testing one. So that's what the clean knob is cleaning up for the most part for this recording, is that harshness on that S. So let's master this track as well, or this, vocal track. And what we're going to do is go over into the history so that we can hear the different mastered versions. All right, so the final thing for today is showing you guys the original podcast mic versus the different versions that we created. I want to show you how the clean knob works. So here's the original. Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today we're testing OneClickMastering.com. Now let's go to we're going to the harsher S. Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today we're testing OneClickMastering.com. We're going to master, okay, you heard that S. Now let's run it with the clean turned all the way up and listen to that S now. Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today we're testing OneClickMastering.com. We're going to master a podcast audio. So the dropouts you guys hear are just my recording process. I have a gate on my microphone, so it drops the audio out. So again, this service is going to enhance whatever is there. Okay, so that is the first step, is get a good recording environment, potentially use noise gates, whatever you guys need to clean up that background sound before you start processing. So just wanted to show you guys how versatile our new SaaS company is, OneClickMastering.com. Subscribe if you're new. It's Game from BusyWorksBeats.com. Peace out, guys.